Good morning to all of you. We are on import procedure. Import procedure. Points we have already written. First one is obtaining import license. Obtaining import license. Second one is obtaining foreign exchange. Third one is placing an order. Fourth, dispatching or issuing or dispatching, any one word you can use. Letter of credit. Fifth one is receipts of documents. Sixth, to obtain the order of receiving goods. To obtain the order of receiving goods. Then paying the import or excise duty. Eighth, payment of dock charges. And ninth, last one, getting possession of the goods. Getting possession of the goods. Now total 9 points are there, import procedure. So first of all, obtaining import license. First one is obtaining import license. So whenever any business units are involved in import export trade, they need to obtain license, or we can say without license they cannot import or export of goods. So first of all they need license. That license is called general open license. Means if any business unit or any producer is importing those goods from other country or other foreign companies which are enlisted, which are in the list of government, then simple general open license they need, which they already have general open license. If they are importing those goods which are already in the list of government, then they need general open license which they already have. If they do not have, they can get general open license from government very easily. But if they are importing such goods which are not in the list of government, the commodities, the name of the commodities, name of the raw material which are not in the list of government, then a long procedure is there, long formalities are there in order to obtain license. So that is given in your textbook. First point, obtaining import license. If the importer wants to import the goods which are listed, means which are already mentioned in the list of required items and services published by the government, then he has to obtain an open general license. sorry, open general license. Open general license. Open general license, which is easier to get. But if the importer wants to import the goods excluded from the list, means which are not mentioned in the list of government, then he has to apply to Comptroller of Import Trade. Then he needs to apply for Comptroller of COM, Comptroller of Import Trade. Import Trade. We can say that a special license is needed from Comptroller of Import Trade. For this, required documents are required to be submitted with this officer, Comptroller of Import Trade, and if they are satisfied with those documents, then they will issue the special license. Then only we can import goods or raw material, whatever we want, from other country. He has to apply to Comptroller of Import Trade. In that application, you have to mention your name, means mention the name of importer, then address, details of the goods which we want to import, economic condition of the importer. Economic condition here means you have to give bank statement which shows your financial position, and then name of the exporting country. Exporting country means the country from where we are importing goods. Such important or relevant information are required to be mentioned in the application if you are applying for getting a special license. And why we are getting a special license? Because we are importing such goods which are not mentioned, which are not enlisted in the list of commodities published by government. So after getting either open general license or a special license, then second point is obtaining foreign exchange. So after getting license, importer needs to get permission for foreign exchange. Why? Because we are importing goods. So we have to give foreign currencies. We have to make payment in foreign currencies. That's why we have to take permission from the bank. Which bank? First of all, we have to submit the paper with authorized bank. With authorized bank. Authorized here means the bank which has power for foreign exchange, for converting Indian rupee into foreign currencies. That is called authorized bank. So first of all, they need to submit their all documents, import license, other documents with authorized bank, and then they will get an acknowledgement. Acknowledgement means they will give permission, a kind of permission, but that permission is not sufficient. After getting permission from authorized bank, then they need to apply with RBI, Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank of India. And once Reserve Bank of India has given permission, then whatever amount, we have to mention the amount in the application. Mention the amount means up to what amount we are importing goods from the foreign companies or foreign country. We have to mention the amount. Then we have to give application along with required documents with authorized bank. For example, SBI, State Bank of India, they will issue a acknowledgement, that is called receipts. And then we have to submit these receipts with RBI. Then RBI will give final permission, or they will sanction. They will give permission to convert Indian currency into foreign exchange. Second point, obtaining foreign exchange. When goods are to be imported from a foreign country, so whenever we are importing goods from foreign country, obviously we have to make payment in foreign currencies. The Reserve Bank of India has control over foreign exchange. So who has control over foreign exchange? Reserve Bank of India has control over foreign exchange. So first, an application is to be sent to the bank. Which bank? Permitted by the government for foreign exchange trade, before applying the Reserve Bank of India. So before applying to Reserve Bank of India, we have to apply to authorized bank. In short word, simple, what is authorized bank? The first of all, we have to submit our application for conversion of Indian currency into foreign exchange, foreign currencies. We have to submit an application with authorized bank. Authorized bank, once again, bank which has power by the government to convert foreign currencies, foreign Indian currencies into foreign currencies. So we have to submit an application. Once they will give some receipts, then we have to submit that receipt with the RBI, and once or if RBI has given permission, then only we are in a position to convert Indian currency into foreign currency, means we are able to import goods or services. Once again, the first an application is to be sent to the bank permitted by the government for foreign exchange trade before applying the Reserve Bank of India. The bank makes an endorsement on the application form. Endorsement means a kind of permission they will give of the importer on the basis of import license. They will check your import license, they will check what type of goods you are importing, and once they will satisfied, they will issue receipts. Here it is written endorsement, and after getting receipts, then RBI sanction the foreign exchange. Then we have to submit these receipts with RBI, and after verification of those receipts, RBI gives permission, and if gives permission, then we are able to, means we are forward import procedure. We can go ahead with import procedure. After getting permission from RBI regarding conversion of Indian currency or Indian rupees into foreign currency, then placing an order. Then first of all, like when we are purchasing any goods from any particular market, number of shops we are visiting, number of shops, and then the shops, the businessmen who are selling goods, quality goods at reasonable price, from that seller or from that shopkeeper we are purchasing goods. In the same way, before placing an order, we are evaluating the price, the quality of different manufacturers, foreign companies, and the manufacturer who is providing quality products at reasonable price, giving us discount also, means lots of relief he is giving. Then from those manufacturer, from that particular manufacturer, importer will place an order in written form, that this and this, in that written form, in that order he has to mention the name of the item, then same quantity, then if he wants any discount, such type of terms and condition, means such type of order he is giving. That written order is called indent, I-N-D-E-N-T, indent. Now according to textbook, after the completion of the procedure of import license and foreign exchange, the importer collects information. The importer means buyer. Buyer collects information of different manufacturers and exporters for the details of goods, price, and their other terms and conditions. The importer gives the order to the exporter or manufacturer whose terms and conditions seem suitable to him. It means the manufacturer, the exporter who are providing quality products at reasonable price with easy terms and condition, from that manufacturer, importer is placing an order, and that order in written form is called indent. Importer places the order for the import of goods, that is called indent. Indent means, in simple language, indent means placing an order to the manufacturer or exporter. The details, now what should be mentioned in indent? The details regarding goods, price, packing, insurance, the name of the transport company are mentioned clearly in indent. Now fourth one is dispatching letter of credit. Fourth, dispatching letter of credit. Dispatching means sending. Issuing means who is issuing. Now I am explaining first of all what is letter of credit. Letter of credit shows the financial position of the importer, and this letter is issued by the bank of importer. For example, this is importer. Importer means, suppose importer of India. Now he has to purchase goods from exporter, suppose exporter of America. Now if this importer wants to purchase goods in bulk quantity, that is also on credit basis. On credit basis means udhar. On credit basis. So first of all, this importer has to show his financial position to this exporter. Now, how he is able to show his financial position, financial soundness to this exporter? So first of all, importer will approach his bank where his account is operating, means he is operating his account. He approached that bank. From that bank, he demands letter of credit. Bank, on the basis of transactions of this importer, they will issue a mini statement. That mini statement is called letter of credit. Here, statement means transactions of last 3 months or 6 months as per the terms and condition. This bank will issue a mini statement along with remark. Remark means, yes, this is the customer, this is our customer for the last 10 or 12 years. He has sound financial position in this way. Once we have given loan, he has repaid all the loan, timely payment he has made. Thus, this type of remarks bank is giving along with this mini statement. That mini statement is called letter of credit. So this bank means bank of importer will issue letter of credit to importer. Then importer has to send that letter of credit to the bank of exporter, and from that bank exporter will get letter of credit. On the basis of that letter of credit, if importer has sound financial position, then they are ready to sell goods on credit basis. So this is about if importer wants to purchase on credit basis. In that case, they need to furnish letter of credit which shows the financial position of the importer. Now dispatching letter of credit. Letter of credit means a document assuring the exporter regarding the payment of goods on behalf of importer. The exporter demands for a letter of credit to know the financial capabilities of the importer. The importer has to obtain the letter of credit from his bank and he has to send it to exporter. And after getting letter of credit, he needs to furnish that letter of credit to the exporter. The exporter is assured about getting his money on receiving the letter of credit. So letter of credit is a guarantee. Is a kind of guarantee that importer will make payment on time, or importer will make payment. Then after getting letter of credit, then exporter is sending some documents. That is called receipts of documents. The exporter sends all required documents. All required document means a kind of we had already dispatched packed all the goods which you want. Then again name of items which we had packed or which you want, name of items, their price, discount, other terms and condition, how we are sending the goods. Documents regarding all those things they are sending to the importer. That is called receipts of document. So the exporter means seller. Seller sends all required documents to the importer through his bank. Generally, he sends documents against acceptance. Documents against acceptance means exporter has received letter of credit, exporter has received order. So against this order, against this letter of credit, they are sending some documents. First document that we are satisfied with your documents, means we are satisfied with your order, we are satisfied with letter of credit. Against that, we are ready to supply you this and this particular goods. A kind of acceptance that we are ready to accept your order, we are ready to accept to send goods on your request on the basis of letter of credit. Such document is called receipts of documents or documents against acceptance. Next one is to obtain the order of receiving goods. So after receipts of documents, exporter is sending another document in order so that importer can get their goods from the particular place. From particular place means from airport, from seaport, wherever goods are coming, either it is at the airport or from, if they are sending goods through ship, they can send either by air or by ship. So if they are sending goods through ship, then importer must have a letter so that they can receive their goods from seaport or if they are sending goods by air, so they must have some letter through which they can get their goods from airport. That is called to obtain the order of receiving goods, and this order is issued by exporter. So next one is to obtain the order of receiving goods, and to obtain the order of receiving goods, that letter is called bill of lading. Bill of lading. So bill of lading is one of the document received by the importer, and which shows the ownership of goods, means he has purchased the goods, that goods belongs to that particular importer. That letter is called bill of lading. So bill of lading, once again, issued by exporter to the importer, which shows the ownership of goods belongs to importer, means this goods belongs to this and this particular importer. The exporter makes endorsement on this document for the transfer of ownership goods in favor of importer, and this document is issued by exporter to importer. Second paragraph, this document means bill of lading. Bill of lading, after receiving bill of lading, importer has to present this bill of lading either at airport agency or seaport agency. This document is to be presented to the office of shipping company. The possession of the goods is with the shipping company, and if the freight means transportation fare, is to be paid by the importer, after receiving freight, shipping company makes an endorsement on the bill of lading giving order to captain of ship to release goods in favor of importer. So first of all, importer has to present bill of lading to the shipping company, and then shipping company will give after, then they want freight. Freight means transportation fare. Once importer will pay the freight, means transportation fare, then the shipping company will give order to the captain of the particular ship to give the goods to the importer, means to release the goods in favor of importer. Next one is paying the import duty or excise duty. Sixth point is to obtain the order of receiving goods. Here bill of lading I had already explained bill of lading when goods are transported through shipping company. But if exporter is sending goods through by air, then seventh point is paying the import or excise duty. So seventh point, paying the import excise duty, again same explanation almost. The importer has to pay import duty on the imported goods. The goods are not allowed to bring outside the port until the import duty is paid. A simple explanation is there. So if exporter has sent the goods by air, then at the airport or to the airport agency, importer has to pay import duty or excise duty. Without paying import duty or excise duty, airport agency will not give goods in favor or to importer. Now next, after paying import or excise duty, 8th point, payment of dock charges. Payment of dock charges. Dock is that area where goods are kept, especially at seaport, that area where goods are kept. Then from that area goods are loaded on the truck of importer, and this process is undertaken by laborers. So we have to make payment of dock charges of that area, a kind of rent we can say, because goods are kept in that area safely. That's why we have to pay some rent to that for that area. That is called dock charges. So after making payment of dock charges, then last point, getting possession of the goods. Then after paying dock charges, then we have right to take our goods from that dock area. In this way, import procedure starts from obtaining import license and ends with getting possession of the goods. So 8th point, payment of dock charges. Importer has to pay certain kind of charges, means first of all, if goods are sent by exporter through shipping company, means through ship, then they need to pay to obtain the order of receiving goods, means bill of lading. And if goods are sent by exporter by air, then they need to pay import duty or excise duty. After paying this duty, then they need to take goods from dock area, means dock area. For this they need to make payment again. a kind of rent for that area. The importer has to pay certain kind of charges for using the place. Once again, what is dock area? The importer has to pay a certain kind of charges for using the place where the vehicle arrives, either by airway, roadway or seaway. Vehicle arrives means we are talking about delivery van, truck. Such charges are known as dock charges. So where importers are keeping their trucks or delivery van for that area, again they need to pay certain charges. That certain charges is called dock charges. Such charges are known as dock charges. Dock charges includes all expenses related to the equipments of that place. They take all charges about the equipments which they are keeping with them. And last point, getting possession of the goods after completing all these formalities, all these above 8 points, then the importer gets the possession of the goods. The possession of the goods has to be moved out from the bonded warehouse within a certain time limit. If the goods are not moved from the bonded warehouse within the certain time limit, then the rent and the demurrage have to be paid for using bonded warehouse for excess time. Mean, in simple language, after formulating all 8 points, then owner means importer has right to take their goods from that area. But if goods are kept in bonded warehouse, then in that case those goods of importers can be kept in bonded warehouse for a certain time limit. For example, 3 days. So you have time limit of 3 days. In 3 days you can take your money, take your goods from that warehouse. If you are taking more than 3 days, after 5 days you are visiting the bonded warehouse, then you are taking your goods back. In that case, for additional 2 days you have to pay additional rent, and that additional rent, after paying that additional rent, then means that additional rent is called demurrage, and after paying demurrage you can take your goods back from the warehouse. In this way, formalities regarding import procedure is completed. Now any doubt in any point you can ask. Now only one topic is left, that is export procedure, then your chapter is completed.